So what do you say to those who say, well, crypto just wasn't ready for its moment? When the market was crashing, it crashed as well.
Well, firstly, Charles, great to be back. Thanks so much for having me on. So look, Bitcoin is definitely still that safe haven asset. Nothing goes straight up. And in fact, we don't want it to go straight up, because often when things do go straight up, they're followed by very sharp snapbacks, which will really hurt retail investors. What we want to see is nice, healthy corrections. And it's really important to realize that Bitcoin is actually only 12 years old. So this is still a very immature market. It's not yet this uncorrelated asset. So geopolitics is still going to affect it. Let's look at March 2020, for example. When COVID took a hold of the world and lockdown started, we saw a major crash. Bitcoin crashed from 8K down to 4K. But we didn't see the crypto winter, which everybody was expecting. It then went on to break new all-time highs, continuing, by the way, into 2021, becoming the best performing asset compared to all other traditional asset classes, including gold, which is actually down nearly 7% year to date, whereas Bitcoin is up roughly around 100% year to date. And if you take into account inflation, which is around 6.2%, then really Bitcoin is that obvious store of value, that obvious safe haven asset. You really just have to zoom out. I don't understand how people can look at gold anymore and really look at it as that safe haven asset.
It had a pretty good day Friday, but obviously I get your point. Hey, to that, in fact, there's a lot of speculation that one of the reasons Jack Dorsey's bowing out of Twitter and maybe even eventually Square is to solely focus on crypto. I mean, how bullish of a story would that be?
Well, this is incredibly bullish, because I think one of the most fascinating parts of this is that Jack Dorsey actually said earlier in 2021 at the Bitcoin conference in Miami that if he was to leave Twitter and Square, he would then go full-time into Bitcoin. So of course we can expect him to do this. I think it's important to realize who Jack Dorsey is. Jack Dorsey is somebody who spent 16 years dedicated to building what is now essentially one of the most important social media platforms in the world. It's totally revolutionized how we use, how politics works, how the media works, how we work. You and I met through Twitter, for example. So if he can bring that level of expertise, that credibility, and that energy into building a Bitcoin, it's going to be very, very bullish. And just a really important point to note here as well is that many Twitter users are very much dissatisfied with the level of censorship that we tend to see on Twitter. And so there is a lot of hope that Jack could actually potentially build some form of decentralized, censorship-resistant version, maybe on the Bitcoin network when we get to that point from a technical standpoint. And then that could actually bring all of those dissatisfied Twitter users into Bitcoin, opening Bitcoin up to an entirely new market.
You know, I've spent some time with Jack. I've had lunch with him and dinner, and you know, I think he also sees it probably as a way to help the rest of the world, you know, the underdeveloped countries not have to go through the IMF and other ways to get on track. Hey, I got less than a minute to go, so I need a shorter answer, but I need one from you on the ECB chief, Christine Lagarde, over the weekend saying that Bitcoin is not a currency. What are your thoughts?
Okay, Bitcoin is obviously a currency. I get paid 100% in Bitcoin. Politicians are getting paid in Bitcoin. You have an entire nation, El Salvador, which is getting paid in Bitcoin. To say that is very ignorant. And I believe, and I think the saddest point was she didn't really give a reason behind this. She just sort of said it. And I believe she feels this way because she realizes, as the president of the European Central Bank, that Bitcoin has the ability to dismantle the establishment, because what it can do is disintermediate the government, disintermediate central banks. And when you don't really need the government, you don't really need central banks, they have less control and less power. You
know, we got to work, Layah, on getting you out your shell to get you to, you know, to kind of be a little bit more passionate about things and then speak directly and not be afraid. In the meantime, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, folks, in the holiday shopping season,